Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video covering 3 different mice that I received from MechKeys. I have the Zaopin Z1 Pro, the Phylina S450, and I have the MCHOSE or MCHOSE A5. I'm just going to refer to that as the MC-A5 so I don't butcher the name throughout the video. All 3 of these have a 3395. All 3 of these are fairly lightweight, but in terms of build quality, performance feel, I think the Zaopin Z1 Pro is probably the best mouse right now on MechKeys' website. It just feels extremely good, and you guys know that the Razer Orochi is something that I really enjoyed, and it's basically a clone of that, lightweight without the necessity of inserting a battery. The Phylina S450 is the one that I had the most build quality issues on, so I'm going to address that. Not something I can recommend out of the gate just because of those issues. And then the MCHOSE A5, actually a pretty interesting mouse, probably the thing that gets closest in the hand to feeling like a G Pro Superlight Mini. So I think a lot of people just shape-wise might have some interest with the A5. But I want to start with the one that I like the most, the Zaopin Z1 Pro. So anybody who was a fan of the Razer Orochi, I think would probably have some interest in the Zaopin Z1 Pro. It is basically a one-to-one clone. You just have a difference in, instead of a all-in-one top shell, you do have separation here with the plastic for mouse 1 and mouse 2. I think overall, these Huano micro motion switches, in my opinion, don't feel quite as good as the modified Kale 4s on the Razer Orochi. But in terms of weight balance, it just kills the Orochi completely. The overall build quality, I don't think is quite as good as the Razer Orochi. In terms of my side buttons, you can see the difference is pretty significant in the structure of the side buttons, with the Zaopin Z1 Pro having a lot thinner of side buttons. The side buttons on the Razer Orochi, to me, just feel overall a lot better than the Zaopin Z1 Pro. But again, overall, the switches do feel good. I don't have any post-travel that is noticeable in-game. When you are playing around with the mouse a little bit, you can have a little bit of post-travel and just a little bit of pre-travel. The side buttons are very clicky and tactile. They're responsive, but overall, these side buttons do have a bit of post-travel as well. Again, not nearly as much as the Phylina. In the hand, these mice feel very, very similar, with just a little bit of a difference of the Orochi, in my opinion, feeling as though it comes a tad bit higher and a little bit wider in the area of where the hump hits the underside of my palm. And I do feel as though my fingers groove a little bit better on the Razer Orochi, but very, very close in size, shape, and dimensions. And again, just feels a whole lot better not having that battery on the inside and the weight being cut down to, show you guys here, the weight difference on these mice. The Zaopin Z1 Pro comes in at 44 grams, and my Razer Orochi without a battery even in it is 57 grams, and of course would go well into the 60s with a battery inserted into the mouse. The MC-A5, I do just want to note, this actually does have a Nordic chip as well, so it does match the internals of the Zaopin Z1, 3395, Nordic chip, etc. The weight is a bit higher. This thing is 59 grams in comparison to my G Pro Superlight, my custom G Pro Superlight, which is 57 grams. You guys can see the weight there. It kind of teeters in between 58 and 59. Now it's reading 58. The G Pro Superlight custom that I have is 57. Overall, I do think there would actually probably be even more weight savings, but you guys can see the skates on the bottom of the mouse. The skates are okay. I actually don't mind them, but there is a little system here. This little piece actually pops off, and you can access a dongle holder as well as the screws of the mouse. This little piece does have some magnets, so you know, if that was not the case, probably save a little bit more weight, but not too much of a big deal. Overall structural integrity of the MC-A5, actually very good. This thing does not budge in any direction at all. There's no switch grinding on mouse 1 and mouse 2, very little flex. And the scroll wheel actually does feel quite good in its steps, as well as the spammability of mouse 3. There is a little bit of pre-travel, a little bit of post-travel on mouse 1 and mouse 2. And then the side buttons, they are glossy, and there's a bit of post-travel. Not really any pre-travel on the side buttons, just a lot of post-travel on the edges of mouse 4 and mouse 5, which is fairly typical on every mouse that has released this year. So now the main thing that you guys are probably looking forward to is the performance and the shape difference compared to the G Pro Superlight or the Superlight 2. In terms of performance, I'm waiting for my 4K dongle, so I'll do an updated review once I get the 4K dongle with this mouse. I should be here probably within the next week or two. But in terms of the shape, I think what a lot of people are going to like is it's about the same length as the G Pro Superlight. It's not far off in length, but the overall height of the mouse, especially in that hump, and the width of the mouse is a little bit thinner than the G Pro Superlight, but mainly because everything is lower on this mouse, it feels thinner in the hand and easier to maneuver if you are pure claw grip or if you are kind of a fingertip claw hybrid. You get way more inner hand maneuverability than the G Pro Superlight. If you're more of somebody who likes to get that palm contact on the G Pro Superlight 2, I would probably keep you on the G Pro Superlight 2. Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 sit lower on the A5. The hump sits lower, making, again, the mouse just feel thinner, lower, and a bit more aggressive to maneuver. I personally go with my size hands, which are a little over 21.5 in length. I go for the G Pro Superlight 2, but I could easily see somebody with smaller hands really enjoying the shape of the A5. It really does feel like a mini G Pro Superlight in the hand, and you can really see that the difference in that hump and just the height of the mouse really different than the G Pro Superlight 2. So again, in the hand feels pretty damn close to being a mini G Pro Superlight 2. I'll have a full review of the A5 once I get that 4K dongle. And it does have, the website's a little confusing. It has it listed as transparent Huano blues or Huano pinks. I'm assuming that, to me, they feel like blue shell pink dots, transparent blue shell pink dots. So I'm assuming that that's what it is using. I could be wrong, but feels pretty similar as implemented in this mouse. Now, up next is the Phylina S450. This is not a mouse I can recommend just going off build quality alone. This is not something I would spend $50 on. This is not something I would spend $20 on. Everything on this mouse has issues except, surprisingly, the DPI button, which is the only thing on this mouse that I don't have post-travel. You can see that even just squeezing Mouse 1 and Mouse 2, it actually causes the scroll wheel to kind of shift locations. And even the scroll wheel here has post-travel. So if I hit down Mouse 3, this is the only mouse that I've ever actually noticed post-travel on my scroll wheel actuating Mouse 3. Pretty spectacular, to say the least. Mouse 1 and Mouse 2, if I hit it towards the front where the bottom shell kind of stops Mouse 1 and Mouse 2, there's not really any post-travel at all. The problem is if you hit Mouse 1 or Mouse 2 anywhere but for the very top, it just feels extremely mushy and like there's a lot of post-travel because the plastic on Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 are flexing. Mouse 1 and Mouse 2, when you actuate them, I did have switch grinding in-game. Overall, just not a very nice feeling experience. And then while recording this video and testing post-travel on Mouse 4 and Mouse 5, you can see my Mouse 4 is actually stuck in the mouse, and Mouse 5, or Mouse 4, the post-travel is just intense. I mean, this is intense post-travel with the plastic protruding far, far, far inside the internal shell of the mouse. So really nothing in terms of the clicks feels good except the DPI button, surprisingly. And again, the bottom of the mouse, it looks like they kind of went with a bottom shell that is trying to mimic Lamzu, except the quality here is pretty poor. While testing the build quality and the shell integrity, I was able to get the bottom shell to detach from the side or the top shell. And now that is kind of sticking out like that, as you guys can see. So just very poor quality all the way around. I don't think that this is a mouse that I would spend $50 on if you're in an extreme budget and you're looking for something that kind of is similar to an HTS from G-Wolves. Certainly, you could maybe look at the Phylina. It does have a 3395, a 300 mAh battery, but overall, the quality here is just exceptionally bad. So guys, that is going to be it for this one. Overall, I would say that not all mice coming out with 3395s are treated equally. The Zaopin Z1 Pro is by far my favorite so far that I've tried from MechKeys. Mirrors the Razer Ruchi V2 shape that I really, really love. with lighter weight, great weight balance, a texture and coating that feel good and stay dry. Overall, the quality and performance checking off boxes. I feel like this was snappier for me than the 1000 hertz on the A5. Could be a variable of issues, but I'm going to complete my performance testing on the A5 once that 4K dongle comes and then do a full review. But build quality on the A5 was actually really nice. And if somebody was looking again for that G Pro Superlight Mini, if your main concern was the hump and that width feel of the G Pro Superlight, definitely something that's kind of interesting to keep your eyes on. The Phylina, definitely, that was just too many issues rolled into one, particularly with the shell integrity that just smacks and pops, and just everything in terms of that post-travel. Not something I would recommend right now, regardless of price or sensor. Again, not all $33.95 mice are treated equally. I will update you guys on the A5, but in terms of what I can recommend, the Zaopin Z1 Pro is fantastic. Again, if you're into egg shapes or you loved the Razer Orochi. That's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope it helped. If it did, leave a sub to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.